it's time to review the scripts nominated for the Academy Award of Best Original Screenplay in 2022. A truly eclectic bunch ranging from bald-faced satire to revisionist rom-com to joyful narrative fun to crappy after-school special. The 5 nominated original screenplays are Belfast by Kenneth the Great, Don't Look Up by Adam McKay with story by him and David Sirota, King Richard by Zach Baylin, Licorice Pizza by Paul Thomas Anderson, and The Worst Person in the World by Joachim and Eskil Vogt. The time is ripe for spoilers when spoilers can be had, so be prepared. Here we go. Off, you guys like this screenplay? Contrary to what Rotten Tomatoes would have you believe, King Richard doesn't transcend sport biopic formulas. It just adds to them an insufferably annoying protagonist who never shuts up, and the script asks you to accept every word out of his mouth as the absolute truth without any need of showing what a movie audience should actually see. Will Smith is Richard Williams, our abrasive majesty who simply decided his 2 unborn daughters would grow up to become the greatest tennis players in the world. Now that is an interesting premise. It's a father dedicating his whole life to giving his daughters all the success in the world. But it's also the story of a selfish tyrant who deprived his children of any choice in their own lives. Complexity. This is the stuff of great unforgettable stories. And yet King Richard never touches on this duality. His whole family simply accepts everything he forces them to do. Venus and Serena, whose actresses have the most embarrassing IMDb photos I've ever seen, never challenge him. Even his wife and stepdaughters have their lives revolve around Venus and Serena. And like a bunch of early Christian saints, they never say a word. I'm pretty sure you don't watch every single trial and meeting by your litigator brother, so why are they always watching Venus and Serena playing? On the bright side, the film has one single good scene. And it's a great scene. This is the type of scene Oscar-nominated scripts should be made of. Terrific, intelligent, and emotional dialogue that makes you see the characters involved from different angles. Richard's wife Brandy reveals she's not just along for the ride and calls him out on his bullshit. He believes he is a good father when he has other children he abandoned, and he thinks he got his daughter's success by himself when he owes everything to Brandy and the kindness of strangers. Like Coach Ted Lasso here. Since I brought this up, Richard's obnoxious, invasive personality makes him his own antagonist, which is the kind of nuance I would have loved, but nobody ever mentions it. The script wants you to think his daughters have a hard time because they are poor and black, but Richard's speeches are a series of anti-charismatic, self-aggrandizing sermons that nobody would ever want to listen to, let alone invest in. He is not helping, he is hindering their careers by being a dick. Richard repeatedly keeps his daughters from playing in tournaments because he wants them to have a normal childhood. Yet, we never see them doing anything else but play tennis. But he states they do other things, so it's good enough, right? Another thing. In this scene, he claims Serena, not Venus, will be the greatest tennis player in the history of the sport. Why? They didn't show anything special about her. And I don't just mean her personality, which neither of them has, but about her tennis skills. What's so special? Won't you show me anything? Nah, that would require quality writing, right? And Zach Baylin already used up all his talent on the kitchen scene, which was so good I raised my rating from a 3 to a 4. Hey look, they made a movie about your ex. The joke is obvious and appropriate. The Worst Person in the World is an episodic, loose look at modern relationships and how, in seeking emotional happiness for yourself, you might distress the one you're with, and if that all sounds vague and pseudo-profound, I agree. This film is quite vague and pseudo-profound. The title seems to be about the feeling you get when you want to end a relationship, but I have a theory that it's about this little girl.
Nå hun over grensen sin.
Anyway, it's not vague, it's ambiguous, man. Your hippie pothead friend in dreads will say. Contrary to formulaic Hollywood capitalist products, Joachim Trier's The Worst Person in the World is a sensitive take on how intangible is the nature of romantic relationships, and how unknowable can be the life objectives of a millennial. Here's the thing, a vague goal is never a good goal. Get a better goal. Artsy-fartsy chicaneries aside, what is The Worst Person in the World story? It's about Julie, who dates a guy with a Norwegian name.
Axel.
Then she dates a guy with an even more Norwegian name.
Eivind.
Then she dates no one. Okay, it's not that bad. The script structure is different and varied. Divided into 12 random chapters, a fast-paced entertaining prologue and an inconclusive epilogue, the film does quite a lot. There's boring family time, climate change activism, a drug-induced bad trip, a cancer downer, a woke versus red pill discussion.
Alle uakseptable.
A time stop in dream scenario, a chapter called A New Chapter. Isn't every chapter a new chapter? Julie saying she won't cheat on Axel, then spending a lovely evening with Eivind. Look, I don't care if you two didn't bone, that's totally cheating. It's so romantic she watches him pissing, then he watches her pissing. Not sure if it will become a romantic classic. Oh, and there's a 2.5-minute detour where Julie is bored and writes an article on blowjobs, and the narrator, yes, there's also a narrator, tells us it was a success. Imagine if every movie showed success that easily.
You gonna be the best it ever was.
And she was. Here's the biggest problem with The Worst Person in the World. The protagonist sucks. Julie is a dumb, confused, immature, boring scatterbrain. There is no difference between her and Bella from the Twilight franchise or whoever from the aborted franchise. If you feel like Julie is so me, then you absolutely need to change everything about yourself. Get a grip on life, woman! The film's worst aspect is almost hidden by the film's best aspect, which is Renate Reinsve. In what is easily the best female performance of the year, she brings so much life and joy to the screen you might not even notice she plays a void husk of a character. But you can't fool me, Renate. I don't care how magnetic is your beautiful smile. I don't care how carefree and charismatic you are. I don't care how contagious is your coquettish demeanor. I don't care how often you show your boobs. Wait, what was I talking about again? Now, let's take a look at Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza. Like The Worst Person in the World, it is a free and episodic, plotless romantic comedy. Unlike The Worst Person in the World, it is terrific. It shows how you don't need a plot or even much narrative continuity when the characters are this strong and the dialogue this entertaining.
What are you doing? What are you thinking, huh? I'm Essie. I work for mom and dad. I'm perfect. I'm a real estate agent. Alana doesn't have her life together. Alana brings home stupid boyfriends all the time. I knew it. I knew that was what you were thinking. You're always thinking things, you thinker.
Gary Valentine, a teenage actor, but mostly a hustler entrepreneur, one day up and decides he's in love with Alana, a young woman who, just like Lindsay Bluth, melts all over whenever any man glances at her direction with a smile. They become friends and embark into all sorts of 1970s LA Valley shenanigans. It's a series of vignettes in which these two are pushed apart, together and apart until they, of course, end up together. We have a motorcycle stunt, a musical number, a political campaign, an out-of-left-field murder charge, and a truly impressive scene of Alana steering a gasless truck down the streets. Unlike Julie, Alana is an adrift young woman who is actually interesting and in possession of a personality.
I need to get my life together.
And Gary, that's where Licorice Pizza shines. He is a character unlike anyone you've ever seen. A 15-year-old ambitious smooth talker always on the hunt for his next big score. How often do you see a really confident male character these days? Someone who will approach and try to graciously pick up the woman he wants?
I'm not going on a date with you, you're 12.
You're funny, I'm 15. How old are you?
You're not supposed to ask that.
And he's still just a kid.
Well, last week I did 3 beavers.
Hi, what's your name?
Thank you for asking, Jerry.
Did you notice how after the Walmart Lucille Ball tells him she's coming for him, he never works as an actor again? We are forced to presume she kept her word. Since I'm theorizing Gary's mother is the waitress from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I had sex with your dad. That's right! I had sex with your father because just like you, I like my sex old and ugly and with fake hair on the...
And we never see his father, so we are forced to presume he is Charlie.
Charlie!
Hey, what a night.
What the... Did you rape me last night?
Anyway, Licorice Pizza is an adorable hangout movie uninterested in what a normal screenplay should be, about a boy who teaches a woman to be more ambitious and adventurous while she teaches him. Kenneth Branagh's Belfast, taking place in a city in Northern Ireland whose name I don't remember. It's about a boy, Buddy, his mother, Ma, his father, Pa, his grandpa, Pop, and his grandma, Granny. There's a nursery rhyme in there somewhere. Oh, and Buddy has an older brother, with a name. It's also got sectarian urban war. Hooray! It's a tense and violent, dramatic story from a child's point of view, and it's unbelievable how much Ken Branagh can fit into only 96 pages. It changes moods non-stop, from a funeral to a lively party to a melancholy departure, and all in 5 minutes. There's even a western-type showdown that manages to give the impuissant father a cinematic but natural chance to fight for his family. This scene is made even better by the script's use of older movies to illustrate moods and needs for the story. By the way, that there is Grace Kelly, God's masterpiece. This is Alana from Licorice Pizza.
You remind me of Grace.
Kelly?
The beautiful Grace Kelly.
I like Alana, so I won't say anything. Since everything's seen by Buddy, we only get his parents' conflict from the snippets he catches. Which is ideal, since it's a rather repetitive dilemma with the same beats. Let's leave Belfast. Nah. Let's leave Belfast. Nah. Let's leave Belfast. Nah. Try to run and I'll put a bullet in your son's head.
I'm gonna start packing.
I just loved how his mother drags him to put the washing powder back in the middle of a riot just to teach him a lesson. This is the type of action that makes for excellently written characters. Speaking of which, Buddy's grandpa is a great comic relief to compensate for his intense parents.
Just make sure your numbers aren't very clear to read. She might give you the benefit of the doubt if your 7 looks like a 1 with a fancy tail.
And judging by his penchant for gambling and robbing the rent collector,
It's not cheating.
Oh, well, I'd call it spread betting.
I wouldn't hate it if Ken made a prequel about his past. Don't Look Up. Adam McKay's all-star satire about 2 astronomers trying to warn the world about a life-ending comet and being met with indifference because their story is not sexy and clickbaity enough. It's surprising to see such an over-the-top and wildly entertaining comedy get an Oscar nomination for Best Screenplay, but Don't Look Up succeeds thanks to several unique characters.
May I say something, Mr. Ritual?
No. I have slept with 2 former presidents. I speak 4 languages, and I own 2 monies.
You know, Bill Clinton doesn't count, so at the end of the day, it's just 1. Moving on. It just might be the most believable satire I've ever seen. For most of its runtime, before it delves a little too far into idiocracy territory, there's barely an incident I wouldn't imagine happening in real life.
It's just so... Is that even allowed on the internet, or I think that's Photoshop, Kate?
Except for Jonah Hill's character, who's too forced and unfunny. All the jokes land, and it has what just might be the single best example of a joke plant and payoff I've ever seen.
It got me so excited to know about my own death. I don't think I want to know. Yes, I do. I want to know.
You're going to be eaten by a brontorok. We don't know what it means.
That's disgusting!
What is that thing? I believe that's called a brontorok.
Many people still said that Don't Look Up is too smug and preachy. People don't like to be told how to think and feel, to have their chosen form of entertainment deliver a didactic worldview that treats them like stupid infants. Imagine being told your ideas are incorrect products of an unstudied mind. Imagine a content creator so conceited and arrogant, he delivers his opinion as the unquestionable truth and presents the contrary position as silly strawman, while he blatantly insults at a personal level to aggrandize his own stature as the almighty Lord of Truth. Under whose authority can you ride that high horse, Mr. Know-It-All? Under whose authority can you speak as if your words were the Get a grip on life, woman! Wait a moment. I forgot to make a joke. Maybe you just haven't found the right woman. Now, what is your opinion of these 5 screenplays? Which one do you want to win? Leave a comment. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe and share it. Stay tuned for my take on the nominees for Best Achievement in Directing. I will see you there, and this is Movie Wise.